It actually... The light bulb just went off in my head. I was shopping at one of Justin's favorite shops, Boulder Sports Recycler, down in Boulder, and so these sweet boots for like $40. Oh, these boots are awesome. I really don't have $40, and I tried them on, and I'm walking around. These boots are so great, but I really shouldn't get them. So I left them there at the shop, and the next day we're all hanging out at Eric's place, Eric and Audrey's place, and Justin walks in wearing those boots. What happened? You got those boots at Boulder Sports Recycler for $40 yesterday, didn't you, Justin? He said, yeah, these are sweet. We both tried them on, and he scooped them up after I tried
them. So I got something. January 9th of next year, we should all go out on a short hike. And it's not a hike that's short. It's a hike that's long as fuck, hard as fuck, and the person in the front gets to berate everybody behind him. I'm down for that. I'm probably not going to be the guy in the front, but I think Justin would get a fucking kick out of it. It would be hilarious. Not short.
Not short.
Short hikes. Going on a short hike is fucked up. God damn it, not short. Just leave the hike short. Motherfucker.
I have another short one, and I love all the stories. All the stories fit exactly in with who I know is Justin, but more along the quieter side of him. When I took over as editor of Rocky Mountain Caving, I wanted to really shake things up. I didn't want it to be a magazine written by
old people?
The old guys. And I'm like, I want young, adventurous people, but they're also the ones making the news. They're really the ones that'll sit down and write it. But I asked, and of course the first person I thought of was Justin, not really expecting that he would have time to do it, but he did. He wrote me 2 articles during my first and second year, and he submitted them on time, and they were good, and I just really appreciated that about him, because very few people that are making the adventures are also willing to sit down and write it. But I asked him, and he followed through, and he did it for me. And he has lots of friends. He could have easily blown me off, and I wouldn't have blamed him, but he didn't. He sent those articles in, and you've got them now. And I'll do my best to get them in a digital format that's more readable online, so that you can all read them. I want to hear more stories.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I meant to bring those and forgot them. That's awesome. Yeah, they were really good. Oh, okay, good.
I love milking the shit out of that.
Oh, no? Okay. Hello. So I met Justin on that full moon snowshoe hike.
Was it a full moon?
It totally was. It was a full moon snowshoe. And like there were these 2 guys sitting in the front seat eating like spinach and carrots and hummus and listening to some sort of hardcore music. I'm just like, who are these people? And then we get out and start walking, and it's like, cool, now we're just going, like, run down this hill, Amanda. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And like, the whole evening was just so wonderful. And then every adventure with Justin was just so amazing.
Tell the snowshoe story.
I was gonna tell that one. So like, he was the kind of guy, if he was there, I was like, cool, Justin's here, we're good, I'll do whatever, I'm following him, I might be really scared. Yeah, let's cross this like ice sheet over a rushing river. Great idea. And we were snowshoeing one night, and we were having a great time. Like, we went up really high, then we were coming back down, and we were walking back to the car, and we were almost back to the car, and I realized that I was missing one of my snowshoes. I was like, oh, whoops. And I got really frustrated and I was upset because they were really nice snowshoes and like I definitely wanted both of them. So like I started walking back a little bit and I was like, well, like screw it, they're gone forever. And I was really upset. But then I guess Justin went back like the next day and found the snowshoe.
Wow.
And then brought it back and like then it was at my house again.
Wow.
He turned around on that trip and ran a mile and a half back and found your snowshoe.
I thought he went back the next day.
No, it was
No,
the
it was
same
right
night.
then. He turned around and ran back, found your snowshoe and carried it back.
Well, there you go. She's like, in the moment.
In a moment. All right, Amanda, I got you.
And he did, and it was always like that. He was always like, in the moment, oh, you need something? Like, I'm gonna do it. Oh, we're driving your car, like, let me do what I can to make it better. Oh, like, we're doing this together, like, let me do what I can to make it better. And he's just a guy who, just a really amazing, special person. And I went on so many crazy adventures with him that I don't understand how I even did. And I did them, and they were amazing. And now I just have, like, the best memories. And I'm so grateful for what he brought to this world. And for everything that we have. And just really, just so many amazing memories. And I'm so grateful. Or just, like, being on the top of a ridge, and it's, like, 100-mile-an-hour winds, and, like, he's,
2
like...
a.m.
Yeah,
It's like 100 miles an
exactly.
hour.
It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and like he's trying to help me across this like talus field in snowshoes, and like we're all falling over and getting back up, and it was just so like so many ridiculous moments that are like, of course. And I'm just really grateful that I have all those stories with him.
Yeah.
That's what he always talked about.
Yeah.
That kid,
Yeah.
every kid was
So, Justin and I knew each other. All sorts of different sides of each other. We met in the middle of the night out on the ski resort, and I didn't realize I was meeting, one of the coolest people ever when I met him. And he was really quiet, and he's a hard worker, and just kind of kept to himself at first, and had a real good conversation after work one night. We just sat in the parking lot and smoked for a couple of hours, and we stopped making snow that night because it was snowing too hard. It was ridiculous to be making snow when it was snowing like that, and it was kind of unsafe for the people on the mountain. So we just sat in that parking lot and hung out for a couple hours, and we finally decided to drive. He was going to drive me down to, this was at the tail end of my gypsy career, and I didn't have a car, I didn't have a license, I didn't have I was coming back around again. And he was going to give me a ride back down into my mom's house or into town or something, and the snow was like so thick, and literally we were joking about it. We were like, because the snow was just blowing off the mountain from the snow that we had just made, and we were like, oh, I recognize that snowflake, it's like, just like blowing across Peterson Road, and or like right next to Peterson Reservoir. It's just so dense. It's like 1 foot off the hood type of visibility, and we're creeping along. And then, there's this huge diesel truck in the middle of the road. We're like, whoa! And then we were fine, And then, but we had, such a great conversation that night. And we became, fast friends. And, immediately started going on. I was going on a lot of ridiculous adventures, kind of relentlessly as my go-to thing, And we started going on a lot of ridiculous adventures. And one of them, we went out into the desert with a couple of friends, and 5 friends, and
stayed up all night. I stayed up all night, and all my friends took turns hanging out with me and then going to sleep. And I was like really on fire that night. I was really agitated and doing all the things that are me, you know. And I was bouncing off the walls and throwing rocks and making fire and screaming at the moon and being me. And that came up that the adventure was going to change, and that the van that we drove into the desert with was going to turn around and go back to Colorado the next day, and I wasn't ready for it. Instead, we planned on a backpacking trip, and I had too much momentum at that period in time, and I also had the mentality of, if I have this backpack with me, and I did, and I just went around and I had that, and I could do it whatever I wanted, and I just did for a long time. I did all the things I wanted, and I still do. I just have to do it a little different now. But I came to this decision that I wasn't gonna go back to Colorado quite yet. We were in the desert in Utah, and I called my sister up at 4 o'clock in the morning and was like, "Hey, where you at, Nikki?" She's like, "Oh, you know, I mean, you know, I think you were in Nevada, right?" She was in Nevada. She happened to be in Nevada, and so we decided that we were gonna meet. We're gonna just start traveling towards each other and meet somewhere in Nevada, and so Justin, who is still getting used to the personality that I am, I woke up in the middle of the night, very, very awake and agitated, and like, Justin, you can either go back to sleep and walk out of the desert with me, or you can get in this van and go back to Colorado.
It was like 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning, yeah. And I was like, and I was still up, and so he's like, what? We're gonna walk out of the desert, hitchhike to Nevada, and meet up with your sister? All right, I'm in. And that was another big fundamental step in a friendship. You know? Complete trust in the chaos and the net. Leap in the net will appear, and all this and that. And it was excellent. We had a great adventure. That was like 11 years ago.
For like 3 weeks, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna walk away." I'm like, "Bring it back."
Yeah.
Justin was so quiet on that trip. He just sat in the back seat of my car, and he was so quiet. And then he moved in at our mom's house, and I called looking for mom one day, and she wasn't there, and Justin answered the phone, and then like 2 hours later, we hung up. Just being quiet.
Yeah, Nikki and I talk a lot, and it's kind of hard for people to talk sometimes when we're kind of
Where you get
talking.
that from?
Yeah, so it was probably hard. It was probably overwhelming for him the first time around. But it was being adopted. You know, it was a process. But yeah, I love Justin Short, and I love all the adventures, and I'll see him in the mountains, and you know, I made the analogy, and I think we've all thought of it, but it's just like, you know, he's on his next adventure. He got beamed out. Like you know, when water boils, it starts simmering, and all the molecules get all agitated and vibrating, and then one shoots out, and that becomes steam, and you know, like his energy's with us. It's everywhere, but he's riding the lightning. The day that I heard of Justin dying, I was listening to that song by Metallica, Ride the Lightning, but it was actually I was listening to another song that made me think of the album Ride the Lightning, and I was contemplating like who originally coined that phrase, and like how long has that been around. It wasn't Metallica, like somebody said Ride the Lightning before that, and I was thinking about that, and then I heard about it, you know. And I was so like just, it was like I was working, and I was like, okay, I'm just, you know, working. I just heard that, you know, and I'm just gonna keep on working because I gotta keep on working, you know, and life goes on. And they're like, by the 4th phone call, I just like, everybody needed to talk to me. And I was just up on the roof, and I'm an arborist. I spend time on the roof, and at the top of the trees, on the roof of the canopy, all over the place. And I was on a roof, and I was pruning from the roof, and it was hot. It's like 100 50 degrees out in the city.
On a roof.
And I'm on the roof, and then like I was like so solid for the first 3 or 4 phone calls, and then like Lisa Zucker called me, and she was like already hysterical, and I just lost it. And I'm just up there on the roof, pouring sweat and crying, and just like, you know. But it's, I don't feel sorry for him, because that. I feel sorry for us, you know. I don't feel sorry for him. He's on to his next adventure. He's doing Justin. And he was always just like, okay, when you guys gonna catch up, you know, here we go. And like that was Justin, and he's doing it. So that's it. I guess so.
Cheers.
For Justin Short.
Justin Nathaniel Short.
So I have some stories about the sweetness. Because I remember the little bitty boy with the curly blonde hair, and he was our pride and joy, my sister and I. But this is a trilogy, so you have to be patient with me, but it all comes together. So it was the summer after my freshman year of college. I came home and stayed at my mom and dad's house. This is in the book, and I don't know if you know these 2 stories, so I put them in the book. I came home, and my sister had helped me buy this car when I was in high school. It was a Cougar, Mercury Cougar, and it was sick. Like, I loved this car. I paid my sister payments every month for this car. It was burgundy, it was fabulous, had a sunroof. And I worked really hard for this car, and I loved this car. So I came home, and I brought my car, and stayed at my mom and dad's house. And the way our house was set up, the carport and the driveway was right next to the yard. And our family dog's name was Bo. And Bo and Justin were really big buddies. Justin was 7 years old. Bo was about 4 at the time. And they were homies, you know. And Justin was with us a lot that summer. He's really close with my mom and dad, and we had a little swimming pool, and he was always riding his bike and in the swimming pool and playing with Bo, and always there. And Bo had started jumping our fence and running off, usually around sunset every night. And we lived in town. It wasn't safe. We were worried about Bo's safety, and the neighbors didn't like it. And so my dad started tying Bo up to a chain in our backyard around sunset when we go in to have dinner and things, you know what I mean, for his safety and just because it was a pain in the ass. So we're inside and we hear this horrible commotion, and we go outside. Bo had jumped our fence with the chain on, landed on the hood of my car, and started thrashing to get himself from choking himself to death, and he busted the chain. My hood was thrashed. I'm crying. My dad is pissed. Like, oh my gosh, so many F-bombs, you know. GD dog, when he comes, I'm killing that dog. If that dog comes back here, he's getting shot. The shotgun came out. Dad is mad. For the record, my lovely father would never shoot a dog. He was very mad at Bo. I mean, it was thousands of dollars of damage. I don't have any money. I'm a college student. And Justin's not saying a word, you know. He doesn't say a word the whole time. Things settle down. Bo does not come home. Justin takes... Do you know this story?
No. No.
He gets in the bathtub. We had a little tiny bungalow house. And the bathroom, one bathroom, we had no shower, just the tub, was right by our dining room, where kind of everybody hung out.
Oh, was it batchin'?
What's that?
It was a batchin'?
A batchin'?
Bathroom, kitchen?
Oh, yeah. No, but it was a tiny bungalow house. So you could... Sadly and unfortunately for everybody that lived there, you could hear everything going on in the bathroom. So Justin's in there taking his nightly bath. He's a little boy, right? And we hear him crying. And then we hear him praying. please, God, don't let Papa kill Bo. And he's saying it over and over and over. And so Dad looks at me and he said, well, I guess I can't kill Bo. And Bo came home the next day, tired and hungry, and Dad, he didn't get beat, he didn't get, you know, and so I gotta backtrack a little bit. So we hear him in there crying. Dad says that to me, and then he goes in and he tells Justin, I'm not gonna hurt your puppy, you know. So everything ended well. I think it was that same summer. I came home one day. It is hot in Southern Illinois, you know what I mean? And my parents always had a huge garden. They always had a lot of tomatoes and peppers. And I come inside the back door, and Justin is standing there crying his eyes out with a potato shoved in his mouth. And I'm like, what's going on? You know? And I was like, what's happening? What's happening? So he finally takes the potato out. He's like, I ate one of Grandma's jalapenos. And I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? He's like, the potato's jalapeno. I have no idea where he thought to get a potato and put it in his mouth. But he did, and he comforted himself, you know, and he took care of the pain. But then I look over and Bo's laying on the floor with a chewed up potato in front of him. And I'm like, why does Bo have a potato? Because I gave him jalapeno too. So, yeah, they were homies for real. But they both survived. I don't think Justin ate jalapenos for a long, long time after that. But he loves spicy food as an adult, which is kind of surprising.
How old was he
But
then?
he was 7. He was 7 when Bo jumped on my car for sure. And I think it was that same summer. It may have been the next one. But I think that's the only summer I lived with Mom and Dad when I was in college. So I'm pretty sure he was 7, almost 8, because we were 11 years apart. But my birthday was before this.
That dog was named after Bo Seifert, after Hank Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He just did not want to be inside a fence.
Just like Justin.
He would dig all day long to get out underneath the fence. Then he'd come around and sit right by the gate on the outside.
We tried to rehome him out in the country,
Yeah,
and he spent 3 days finding his way back home.
Yeah.
So he
I hated that dog.
So
That's Illinois for kicking him out of the car.
no, we took him out to a nice home, thinking he would live in. So this winter, I think where's Mark? Oh, Mark. Okay, I think Mark was with Justin during this time, but he'll have to correct me if it was Dan or somebody else. So you guys were skiing out by Eldora, it was Hesse and 4th of July area, and they were skiing, whoever Justin was with, I think it was Mark. And this lady had these 2 Vizsla dogs, which are hunting dogs, and they chased after them. Was that you, Dan? Okay, so
Those signs are everywhere to this day. All
yeah, so this one dog chased after you guys and followed you guys, and then you guys get to the car and you're loading up your gear, and the dog's like just staring at you, so you're like, oh, its owners are gonna catch up with them, and then the dog was just gone. So the next morning we're sitting here having breakfast, and he saw on Facebook that this dog is missing, right? And he's very upset about it. Well, soon after that, so I'm a canine massage therapist, and I'm a dog freak, and I'm friends with all dog freaks and all over the area. And my girlfriend from Superior calls me, and she breeds Vizslas, and she's like, I'm leading a search for a dog up there. And I said, I know about this dog, you know. And I said, my nephew has a lot of information that might help you guys. And so Justin helped with all of this, and he went out there every day. And this dog went missing when it was -10. Remember how cold it was then? And I was like, so Vizslas are very, very thin, very short hair, just solid muscle. The bird dogs are athletes. And I'm like, there's no way this dog made it. You know what I mean? It's too cold. It's too cold. and he still went out every day looking for it. I have another friend who's a search and rescue for pets. She's a pet detective. She called me. Nicole, do you know anything? Can you help us with this? And I'm like, I actually do know this. And Justin took time out to talk to her, tell her everything he knew, and once again helped kind of coordinate these searches. And they never found the dog, but it really like was something that bothered him.
Oh, it did.
Like deep down, and it wasn't his fault. It wasn't you guys' fault, you know. And the owner probably thought, well, he's just gonna run and come right back. And yeah, I know. He told me that. And he said the dog just sat there while you guys were taking your gear off too. So you thought the owner was gonna find it. But yeah, he loved dogs, and he loved all animals, you know. He didn't have much tolerance for a bad dog. He would be quick to scold them, you know, but he loved them, and I think a big part of that stemmed from his relationship with Bo as a young boy, because they were very close, you know.
Yeah, him and Oso were BFFs.
For sure.
I was a little jealous.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. They were good. They were good for each other. You know, it was great for Justin to have Oso in his life. So, yeah, I just wanted to share some sweetness about
I'll
Justin.
say also relating to that, like Justin had one puppy in his life, or that besides growing up at Bugs' house where they had dogs all the time, like Bo and everything. When Justin moved to Colorado, he had one dog. His dog was his life. From the time he touched that puppy, it was like part of him. And like, he was living up at Eldora at that time. I believe, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but like, living in a cave in Eldora or out in the middle of the woods while he's making snow or something like that. And his dog ended up getting killed by a porcupine. And it like, he's in the woods, man. Justin's been attacked by bears. He like, they haven't even probably got into the bear stories yet.
It's in the book.
Like, and vice versa. But like, his dog that he loved more than anything, and like Nicole said, he was a dog person. He would have done anything to save like its life. It's as important as any of us. As that dog is as important as any of us. And me and Jeff were driving to Yampa where Nicole's and him just bought a house last week, and we saw that porcupine on the road, which I don't think I've ever seen on the road as a roadkill. A porcupine actually just like pull over. I'm like, oh hell yeah! So we like turn around, you know, like in the middle of the road on Gore Pass, and just like pick out a few quills and things like that. And that's like something that like it just made me think of Justin, because like his love for life and that dog was like a porcupine, like no telling what can kill us out there. You
It's
know?
like lightning. Right?
It's like lightning.
Yeah. And I forget how far he told me he had to carry that
He was
dog.
on the divide. He
took that dog and laid it out for other animals to eat. I mean, he had that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
That he knew the cycle of life.
That's what he wanted me to
And
do.
that's what he understood that more than close.
Leave him out there, yeah.
Lead him out to feed others. You know. And so I remember that story.
Hey everyone, I'm LOreal. I met Justin when I was 20, and we went on all kinds of crazy adventures. It was definitely the start of all of that for me, and a lot of really special memories. I told my son when I told him about him, he didn't really know Justin very well, but I started to talk about it, and it was happening in my head as I was talking about it. I was like, wow. I was like, well, you know, like, he really, you know, he did things that he wanted to do, and, you know, because he said, who was Justin? And I said, well, he lived in the woods because he wanted to. I said, like, he went on all these adventures because he liked to. He didn't always work because he didn't want to do that. And as I told him, I realized that he did all the things that he wanted to do, like, as he wanted to do them. And that's fucking badass. Like, one of the coolest things that you can do. I'm realizing right now how much Justin cared about me and how much he took care of me and really wanted to take care of me. And he had a lot of love, and I don't think at that time I really knew what to do with it at all. But I appreciate him, and now I'm like seeing all that he wanted to help me. And every once in a while, he would wait for me on hikes. He would like sit there though, like just waiting. Like, and as soon as I got there, he'd be like, "Let's go." Like, whoa, wait. But my favorite story about him is it's a sweet story. I inherited like a million paper cranes, and I really wanted to make them into this like beautiful mobile that was off of this branch. And so he came over one time and I was working on this, and I was basically like sewing these cranes with the needles through the top of them onto this hanging thing. It was the most tedious, like challenging thing ever. And he sat there with me for hours and finished it. I could feel like his like boiling water, like constantly like just like putting these things through and like being the most delicate that he could. And it was just kind of amazing. Like I knew at that moment how grateful I was that he had harnessed his energy for like this tiny amount of time to make this beautiful thing with me. And I still remember it. It's just like he was like rocking, just trying to keep it all in. And yeah, and just like just kind of like just grinding, like and then doing the most like tiniest little tiny thing, like that was so the opposite of all of like the bigness about him. But, yeah, I love Justin. I'm glad to see your face. So, yeah, thanks for having him in life. The best.